Huge news for Cardano coming out yesterday, as it looks like institutional money might actually be flowing into Cardano coming very, very soon. Let me tell you this right now, before we even get into the details of this video. Cardano is not an institutional coin. It is a retail coin. We've made the comparison on this channel before that Cardano in the crypto ecosystem has a lot to compare to like Apple in the computer world. Of course, early on in the computer world, we had Microsoft and Apple and other competitors, but Microsoft went heavily after companies, institutions, and businesses, and Apple always wanted to focus on the individual, the everyday person. They had the goal to get it into the home of every single human in the United States. Of course, now that's expanding and going into the world. What's the comparison here? Ethereum, Solana, Matic, others, they are very focused and very dependent upon institutional investment to prop up the prices. Not that the regular everyday individual doesn't use them as well, but they're very much targeted to attract the large money, the institutions. Cardano, on the other hand, very much going after the unbanked, trying to help the everyday person control their own finances. But now, Cardano maybe could be getting a piece of the pie of the institutions. There's a story coming out yesterday here, about 18 hours ago, from Scott Matherson saying Cardano poised to explode as Grayscale makes a major play. Reading into some of the details of what happened here on Tuesday, October 24th, Grayscale Investments announced that it is bringing 5 new crypto indices into the crypto market. These 5 indices would allow institutional investors to gain some level of exposure to a number of assets in the industry without having to go through the hassle of actually buying coins. Kind of sounds similar to ETFs, a little bit different. Indices are a little different. However, it still allows people who maybe don't want to go in and buy it themselves get a little bit more exposure to some of these cryptocurrencies they're hearing so much about. Of the 5 indices that were announced, Cardano made the cut as one of the smart contract platforms that were explored. It's labeled in the Grayscale Smart Contract Platform X Ethereum Fund. This fund already sees Cardano maintain a 24% dominance, something that may be replicated in the new indices. Why is this so important, and why is this so big for everyone out there who loves and holds Cardano? Because of what I just said in the introduction. Guys, we already knew Cardano was going to make it big just off of retail investors. I actually said yesterday in our live stream, I talked about the delay that Cardano had behind the Bitcoin rally. In fact, when you go back and you look at the charts, that Bitcoin rally back in 2020 started sometime in October, whereas Cardano didn't start till closer to late January, February of 2021. Why is that? It's because Bitcoin, Ethereum, and others, they're going to catch the early eyes. Yeah, they're going to catch big money coming in. Here's the thing, though. When new people come into the space and they learn more about the assets and what crypto can do, and especially the decentralized form of it, watch them navigate and learn more about Cardano being, in my personal opinion, the #1 decentralized platform in all of crypto. Now, Bitcoin, super decentralized, but Bitcoin is simply a store of value. You're not doing a whole lot with Bitcoin. Yeah, now there's NFTs with the ordinals, and yeah, they're trying to do stuff with Lightning Network to make it quicker. But I've come to the place where I used to think maybe Bitcoin was going to be currency around the world. No, that's not where I am anymore. Bitcoin is gold. It's digital gold. It's now the greatest form of value the world has ever seen. It's not finance, though. It's not going to be used in everyday transactions. It's not going to be used to build other things on. That's just not what Bitcoin's for. That's what we have Ethereum, Solana, Cardano, DOT. That's what those are for. And Cardano, I think, specializes in how very specifically decentralized it is, the most decentralized out of all those ones I just named, and it's only a matter of time before people find it. People who love decentralization, people who are tired of the government controlling them, manipulating the money, screwing them over left and right, they're going to navigate to decentralized currency, and Cardano is going to be the ecosystem for them. But now you throw in the institutional adoption as well. Things could get very, very spicy, ladies and gentlemen. This is huge news, but let's go ahead and take a look at Cardano chart. While I'm very excited about what the future holds, there are some things that we must look at. Now, a lot of people, we've been talking about here the falling wedge pattern that Cardano had, and it actually kind of broke out of that. Let me redraw that line for you guys. With this one, we kind of had a fake out back here in July. We're kind of more looking at these more more frequent touches here on Cardano, and you will see that if this was a falling wedge pattern, we sure enough broke out of it. The problem is we're getting close to another level that we have to keep our eyes on, and it's this new level, this blue line here, going back to the touches we had in April and also the touches we had in July. Now, we're going to keep this red line right here. 24 cents has been outstanding support for Cardano. Yeah, we had a huge wick go below it back on June 10th. Not a big deal, really, if you ask me. That was mostly a lot of fear and scaring in the market. We've had a couple other wicks recently, but as a whole, 24 cents continues to be defended. But here's a problem, guys. And we're going to talk about a bullish scenario here. I do think Cardano has an outside chance of moving up to the upside, but there are some things that might make me say, hey, you know, have altcoins rallied here right behind Bitcoin? Yes, they have. But is that time coming to a close? Possibly. And this, with a flat bottom and a descending level of resistance, forms what we call a descending triangle. Not a good look. Now, I'm not expecting us to go all the way down. We've actually talked about this formation before. This would be absolutely horrendous for the price of Cardano if it were to play out, because you take the top of the formation down to that flat support level, you move it over to a potential breakout point. This is what would give us all the way down towards 12 cents. Is that possible? Absolutely. It is definitely possible. In fact, we've talked more recently about potentially 18 to 14 cents coming for Cardano. Actually, this comes down to 13 cents. So 18 to 13 cents. Before this little pump up, this little rally, I would have been tempted to say, yeah, I think that could happen. But at this point, I do not think, again, could be wrong here, but I'd be very surprised to see Cardano fall 56% over the next little bit. Before this little rally, back when we were down towards 27%, it still would have been a 47. I thought that was a little low. My real estimation was somewhere here towards 17, 18 cents. When we're talking about 25 to 30% dip. That, to me, was doable. I don't think 56 is in the cards. I think there's a little bit too much momentum, but I do think a pullback at least to 24 cents, which would be another 16% down, and maybe a pullback down to that 18. That's, to me, kind of getting into the realm of worst case scenario for Cardano. We're talking about 35, maybe 40%, but even that, again, that's kind of stretching it. That'd be a big fall for Cardano. The reason why that fall could happen, though, or the reason why we could get rejected is not only because we have a nice little blue line right here, but let's take a look at some other things here as well. We've most recently gotten an overbought flash here on the daily chart, and you guys have noticed in a bearish trend, and this is a lower high once again, these overbought flashes on Cardano have been lethal. On Bitcoin, we've been ignoring a lot of signals on daily charts, 4-hour charts, because it's in the middle of setting higher highs and higher lows. You can see all these red triangles that really just didn't mean anything to Bitcoin. Cardano, on the other hand, the bearish signals have been very, very good. It's been the bullish ones that you can't always trust. Why? Because we're in a downtrend, a bear trend, and price is going to downside. So that's the first thing I'm looking at here. Daily chart overbought, not loving what that is right there. Let's take a look, though, at the SMAs. Another reason to think that potentially we might be about to reverse. While we did clear the 50 daily SMA, we are just about to run into that blue line, which is the 200. And yes, we've flirted with this a little bit. We've gotten back above it here in March, but as a whole, you can see this blue line, 200, has been more of a resistance more recently, ever since the cross back in November of 2021. Yeah, that was after Cardano's all-time high, but right there around the highs for the rest of the crypto world. 200 is going to be something that if we can break through it and the bulls can smash, great. If the bulls can smash through it, that's fantastic news for Cardano. I do think we have a little bit further to go to the upside. I do think we can make it, not just from that blue line, but let's take a look right here. You zoom in. There's still some space between us and our blue level. We absolutely could also kind of break through it. Let's take a look at some Fibonacci levels. And I'm not going to use the freak out wick from back in June. Let's just go ahead and go to this high we had back here in April, and let's come down to that flat 24-cent zone. Right above us, I do believe there's an outside chance we can make a push towards 31 cents. Yes, that says 30 cents, 0.9, but, you know, I do think that the market likes the round numbers, you know, bouncing off of 24 cents, almost even. That's not a coincidence. The markets like to move to round numbers. Don't be surprised if we can make a nice push up here. And again, if I pull up our SMAs, make a nice push, touch that SMA, that 200 SMA right there around 31 cents. That could make a lot of sense. Then you kind of can get some more confluence here. Let's take down my SMA once again. Let's pull up our fixed range volume profile from this same timeline of the descending triangle. You're also going to find that that 31-cent zone is right there in a gap on the fixed range volume profile. Guys, we talked about this before. Peaks are amazing. You love peaks. Everyone wants to talk about peaks, but sometimes the best little spaces to find resistance and support are in the little valleys, the little holes. And we're seeing one line up just perfectly with that 0.382 right there at about 31 cents. So I'm looking at that level as being, in my opinion right now, the realistic expectation for Cardano to top out at. If we can make a push up above that, there's a couple things I'm looking at. The next valley that we really have is all the way up here at 33.5 cents. That could be a very interesting spot. And then, of course, you have our value area high all the way up at 36, getting us up into the golden pocket, right? So 33.5, that's the 0.5 level. That's a valley. Right here, 36, that's the golden pocket. That's value area high. If Cardano pushes to the upside, watch out for those as very realistic spots to be rejecting at. Again, I'm going to give a little bit more weight right now to 31 cents. I think that's going to be really hard to get over. And then even if we make it up to these higher levels, you guys can see right here, let's go ahead and take down Fibonacci just to clear out the chart a little bit. The reality is we need to get above 37.8. Let's get above 38 cents. Let's just go ahead and round it up there to actually break the pattern of lower highs and lower lows. This is still a bear trend. And as bullish as the news is that we just talked about, this is going to be very, very good for the long-term price action of Cardano. The problem is it's not going to necessarily take effect right now, today. We still need to see the markets move. This is not the time for a real bull market just yet. We're even watching right now Bitcoin. I'm going to have to go down to lower time frames to show you. Bitcoin is losing out on some of its bullishness that it has had here more recently. We had a nice pattern set up here to have potentially a bull pennant that would send us up closer to 40,000. Well, we've just lost that support again this morning. Now, I don't necessarily think that this means that Bitcoin's price is going to just free fall all the way down to 32 or maybe even all the way back down to 31. But I do think potentially instead of seeing a bull pennant, another scenario is playing out that I talked about yesterday, and that is potentially a Bart Simpson's pattern where we might make one more good push up to 36,000, filling a CME gap that we've formed way back when. If I were to go to the daily chart, we formed this gap all the way back during the fall of May of 2022, but now we're within striking distance of closing it out. So don't be surprised. Right now, there's mixed bags. There's still a lot of bulls. There's still a lot of bears. That, to me, spells more sideways and choppy action than it does a certainty about a big fall or a big rally. But there could be a chance that we're seeing all the excitement from this last week come to a little bit of an end. Watch prices make a little bit more of a surge to the upside, but then potentially that correction, that pullback that we've been talking about will be coming to the cards. Bitcoin most likely still setting higher lows. Cardano, again, I'm kind of taking a little bit of a negative approach here people aren't going to like, but I do think potentially you're at least coming back down towards 26 cents, back towards this level of resistance that we had that we broke through and now have turned into support. But 24 cents and maybe even lower still looks like it's in the cards. But that bull market, I've been saying $7 to $10 for Cardano. We might just be seeing that rally a little bit higher. If institutional money gets involved, is $15 absolutely possible? You guys let me know down in the comment section. Make sure you hit that like button on the way out if you love technical analysis and crypto and you enjoy the channel. Make sure you hit subscribe button as well. And with that said, I will see you guys later on today. Make sure to check out T-Shroom's live show here in just a couple of minutes.